Good morning, and welcome to Kentucky State University's 2022 Heritage Assembly. I am Clara Ross Stamps, and I have the privilege of serving as your acting president and presiding over today's ceremony. Thank you, Mr. Gordon D. Ford, for our prelude. He will be followed by our summons to assembly by Provost Dr. Leroy Hamilton Jr. and Vice President of Academic Affairs. Then we'll have a wonderful selection by our student, Miss Freshman, Miss Kay Lee Wainwright, who will sing our Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing. Then we'll have a welcome by our 92nd Miss Kentucky State University, Miss Desiree M. Fields. She will be followed by the pastor of Grote Point Church, Pastor Mario J. Rafford. Dr. Hamilton.
The summons to assembly. From its inception in 1886 as the Normal School of Colored Persons to its status as a university, Kentucky State University has evolved into a heavens for those striving for an education. With expanded facilities and curricula, innovative degree programs, increasing grant acquisition, athletic and artistic successes, and growing enrollment over the years, KSU continues to be an incubator for excellence. We at KSU can boast of a proud heritage. During our 135-year history, we have graduated thousands of students who succeeded and continue to exceed at this university and who have made and will continue to make their mark in the larger society, in the arts, technology and communication, science and medicine, education, and many other fields. I think, for an example, of alumna Elizabeth Heinz Polston, who was graduated from Kentucky State University in 1942. After graduation, she later earned a master's degree in social work, became a social worker in rural Kentucky, and then, beginning in 1965, served as director of the New York State Office of Economic Opportunity. Having made history in that position, Ms. Heinz Polston also became the first Black woman appointed to the Federal Civic and Civilian Service Commission. She also was appointed to the board of the Whitney M. Young Memorial Foundation and served as vice president of the National Urban League. I also think of alumnus Dr. Harrison B. Wilson, who earned a Bachelor's of Arts at Kentucky State University. He entered Kentucky State University in 1944 at the age of 19. While at Kentucky State University, Dr. Wilson was an honor student, a stellar athlete in basketball, football, baseball, and track. Having earned a Bachelor's of Science degree at Kentucky State University, he continued his education at Indiana University, where he was awarded both a Master's of Arts degree and a Doctor of Philosophy degree. Dr. Wilson became the second president of Norfolk State University, where he served 22 years. Both of these talented alumni represent the heritage of perseverance, excellence, and achievement at Kentucky State University. We honor our alumni and our ancestors who persevered, who achieved, and contributed to the common good. And in their memory, we continue to cultivate excellence, to move onward and upward, to build on the foundations that they've laid. At Kentucky State University, in the words of the great poet Langston Hughes, we build on our temples for tomorrow, strong as we know how, and we stand on top of the mountains, free within ourselves. On this day of our Heritage Assembly, I challenge all of us to commit to building, to persevering, to achieving for all of tomorrows to come in these hollow halls. Thank you.
Lift every voice and sing, till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the faith that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Neither road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way that with tears have been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast.
Desiree Fields, and I am privileged to serve as your 92nd Miss Kentucky State University. The commemoration of Black history had been established well before it was called Black History Month. In fact, Dr. Carter G. Woodson established it as Negro History Week. He promoted achievements by Black Americans and persons of African heritage in order to recognize the significant impact that their contributions have had on the advancement of our nation and the world. Our beloved institution, Kentucky State University, is saturated in African American culture, and through our everyday work and activities, we ensure that our culture is not only sustained because we are Black history, we are Black excellence. Today, we recognize our Board of Regents, administration, faculty, staff, and student body, and you, our virtual audience. We also acknowledge our elected officials, members of the clergy, honoree, and special guests. Today, I urge you to uplift someone, the same way we are uplifted by the strength and resiliency of our ancestors that paved the way for us. You are, to this assembly, embrace the excellence of the past, present, and future of Kentucky State University.
It feels so good to make it this far. And I didn't think I could take it so long. There were days I wanted to quit. I said, surely this is it. But I held on. And I watched as so-called friends turned and walked away. It hurt so much, I didn't have the words to say. And when days turned to night and nothing seemed right, Lord, I thank you for my life, for my life. Lord, I thank you for every victory in you I've seen, and all the moments I know that it was you that kept me. So I thank you for my life. I watched you take my family from there to here. And when times seemed a little rough, God, I know you were near. And the moments I thought I'd fall, I was reminded of your nails, so I held on. And if I never live to see another day, there is nothing I would take or change away. I had so many ups that they far outweigh my downs. Lord, I thank you for my life, for my life. Lord, I thank you for every victory in you I've seen, and all the moments I know you were there to keep me. So I thank you for my life. I realize some didn't make it. I could have been one of the ones who lost their way. Oh, yes, I could. And there were times, Lord, I almost went crazy. But Lord, I thank you for my life, for my life. Lord, I thank you for every victory in you I've seen, and all the moments it was you who kept me. So I thank you for my life, every valley, every mountain that you brought me through. Lord, I thank you for. I know it was you that kept me, God. So I thank you for my life.
Pastor Rafford, we thank you for that beautiful selection. We want everyone to know that we are holding on here at Kentucky State University, that there is still hope on the hill, for we know that we are our ancestors' greatest dream, and we will make that dream a reality. Up next to the podium will be Dr. Charles Holloway, who will bring us our litany of our heritage. He will be followed by a powerful young man. Nothing brings me more joy than to welcome and give our students a platform to showcase their brilliance, their resilience, and their excellence. And you are in for a treat today. We will welcome Farad Lau Muhammad, who is the president of the Nation of Islam Student Association for spoken word, freedom just ain't free. He will be followed by another beautiful student, Ms. Morgan Faith Payton, who is our second vice president of our Student Government Association. She will introduce our guest speaker, the Reverend Dr. Kelan K Gray, who will bring us words of encouragement and inspiration. Dr. Holloway.
O God, you have heard the anguished cries of our ancestors. Their sounds echo and penetrate time to remind us of our foreparents who were brutally captured and forcibly enslaved as they left the peaceful womb of their African homeland.
Stony the road we trod.
O God, you have seen the million of dark bodies buried beneath the tumultuous waves of the deep, bodies of African men and women who have held the seed of greatness. You have seen women's dreams for a united family vanish as they were sold at auction blocks. You have seen the legacy of African American families disseminated and demeaned by those who have attempted to control our destiny.
Bitter the chastity heart felt in the days when hope unborn had died.
O God, you have ignited the sparks within us into a blazing demand for freedom, equality, and justice. This quest cost Harriet Tubman sleepless nights as she led her people to freedom. It was equality that led Rosa Parks and civil rights activists fought for and gave their lives for. It was for justice that Martin Luther King Jr. stood for, as thousands stood with him at the Lincoln Memorial.
Yet with a steady beat, have not our weary feet come to a place from which our fathers sought.
O God, you have seen our tears. You have been pained by the evil of human hearts. Yet you have loved humanity enough that you sent your only Son to identify with the outcast, marginalized, and rejected. As the cries of Jesus pierce your heart, so have the cries of your people, cries from different cultures and different languages. O God, you have answered us during our exodus from Africa. You wiped every teardrop during our exile and captivity. Our foreparents dared to dream that one day on these shores we would become politicians, preachers, educators, doctors, writers, scientists, artists, and so much more. Our ancestors' hard work, their courage, their convictions, their belief in you paved the way for our emancipation and education. But it is clear you have liberated us. You have set us free. Free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. Lest our hearts drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadow beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God and true to our native land.
Good morning. How is everyone doing today? I want to open by thanking President Stamps and Vice President Deems and the administration and faculty of the illustrious Kentucky State University for the honor and privilege to be present here before you today. And there's no other greater time than to be present before the student body in this great gathering of people and gathering of body than Black History Month. And during this month, we celebrate many historical greats that have been mentioned prior to me coming up here, such as Carter G. Woodson, Maya Angelou, Dr. Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, George Washington Carver, Madam C.J. Walker, Harriet Tubman, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and many others. But we have to keep in mind and keep in perspective that every individual that I just named are all trailblazers in our history. They are those who are willing to take the risk and go on a path that wasn't already there. They are those who have blazed the trail that have left the path for us today, present here in 2022. When we think about the word trailblazer, I want us to really keep in perspective the magnitude of this word. A trailblazer is an individual that sets fire to a path so that it can clear a way. But let us keep in mind that fire is a purifying agent. It isn't always a bad thing. The Bible says that I did not try you with silver and gold, but I tried you in the what? Furnace of affliction. And why is that? Because the trials that we face in day-to-day life don't just accompany us through material objects and material things. But the trials that we go through happen in the struggles of life that we happen to face and witness every day as we look in the mirror. And as Black people, not only just in America, but in this section and region of the world, we have been thoroughly tried in the 467 years of our sojourn in America. And in all of our trials, and in all of our pain, and in all of our suffering and setbacks as a people, yet here we are today. The great Frederick Douglass said that if there is no struggle, there is no progress. So let us come to the realization that this great facility, this great institution, and this home, this university, is our home. This is our institution, and this is our university. We are Kentucky State University. And no matter what anybody else or what other people have to say, greatness is bred here. We say and claim so often that we're thoroughbreds. But do we even know what a thoroughbred is? And when I say that word, I'm not talking about just a noun being the horse. But the adjective thoroughbred is a person with uncommon strength, resilience, or endurance. Can we not say that we've witnessed over the last 8 to 10 months of us being present in Frankfort, Kentucky, that there's been many trials and tribulations that have come upon each of us? Whether that be in our personal lives, whether that be within the public affairs or whatever. But keep in mind that we as a people have been made to persevere through the slander that we've witnessed in the upcoming onslaught in the coming days. It should only serve to be a boost. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told my teacher, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, one day, he said, there once was a donkey that fell into the ditch, and everybody came along. But everybody that came along didn't give an uplifting word. They all threw stones at the donkey. But it came to a point that they threw so many stones in the ditch to the point that the ditch got filled up and the donkey was able to walk out on a level playing field with everybody that rose his opposition. The point he was getting at is that every knock that we have on a day-to-day is a boost. Whether we look at it from the media perspective, whether we look at it from our personal lives. Everything, every trial, every affliction that we face in life is a boost to strengthen us. When we go to the gym, we don't expect to get strong after one day. We have to continuously go to the gym to be able to tear down and break down the fragile, weak muscles that we have so that they're no longer decrepit. But we have to be able to break those down so that we can have an opportunity to feed it the proper protein. But in our case and situation, it is freedom, justice, and equality, and the knowledge of how to retrieve all of the above so that we may grow stronger as not just a nation, as not just a community, but as a university and a family. The road to freedom just ain't free. But know that after difficulty comes ease. Or even with difficulty comes ease. You're not going to get ease without difficulty in life. Life wasn't made to be a crystal staircase. But think, when the difficulty comes in your life, know that ease is surely coming. And the closing sentiment I would like to leave us with is that Black excellence is the realization that we are not a part of the degradation of any nation. Keep that in mind as we progress throughout the days, as we progress throughout the weeks, and as we progress throughout these times. Because no other people is going to do for us what our people can do for us. Before we look outwardly to any other people, we have to first support ourselves and grow and develop ourselves. And that's why self-improvement is the basis to community development. And freedom, justice, and equality comes in our community when we hold ourselves accountable. And it's insane to expect the above from someone before we expect it from ourselves. So I thank you for listening as I leave you as I came. Thank you.
Reverend Dr. Kelan K Gray is a pastor, professor, dean, and more importantly, a community visionary. A native of Memphis, Tennessee, Dr. Gray is one of our very own, graduating with the Bachelor of Science in Computer Science here at the Kentucky State University. Gray went on to earn a Master of Divinity and Doctor of Ministry from the Louisville Presbyterian Theological Seminary. Dr. Gray has dedicated his life to God's calling. In February 2021, Gray was elected to serve as the interim pastor of First Baptist Church of Jeffersontown. He previously served for 35 years as a senior pastor of the new Mount Zion Baptist Church of Shelbyville, Kentucky. To further exemplify his work in ministry, he has been conferred as an honorary Doctor of Divinity from Simmons College, Kentucky. A servant of education, he serves as a Dean of Community Life for Louisville's Presbyterian Theological Seminary. In this capacity, he oversees all student affairs functions for master level and doctoral students and provides human resource functions for seminary employees. Gray also serves as an adjunct professor for Louisville Seminary's Doctor of Ministry and Black Church Study programs. Previously, Gray served as Human Resources and Community Coordinator for the Shelby County Public School District. Dr. Gray is co-founder, Chief Operating Officer, and Program Director of the Batterer Intervention Program for Creative Spirits Behavioral Health Center, a state-licensed outpatient mental health facility in Shelbyville. He is co-founder and a member of Board of Directors of GGT Incorporated, a community development corporation of the new Mount Zion Baptist Church, which seeks to reduce violence and provide support to families within high crime and high violence communities. Gray is also the co-founder of Creative Spirit Ministries, the preaching teaching ministry of Kelan and Cassandra Gray. He is certified by the Cabinet for Health and Family Services as Domestic Violence Batterer Intervention Provider. Prior to this, Gray was a systems engineer for Humana Incorporated and its Contracts Administration Department for 7 years. A champion of his community, Dr. Gray's community service activities and recognitions include serving as Commissioner for Kentucky African American Heritage Commission, a member and past president of the Shelbyville and Shelby County branch of NAACP, a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, recipient of the Nolan C. Allen Man of Distinction Award, recipient of the Adult Black Achiever Award, and a member of the Potter's House International Pastoral Alliance. Currently, Dr. Gray resides in Shelbyville, Kentucky with his wife, Reverend Cassandra Harris Gray, and they have 2 daughters, Lysandra and Rachel. I present Reverend Dr. Gray.
It is good to be here in this place, and it is good to share in this historic moment and this occasion of the Heritage Assembly. It's good to be back home to K-State. And I'm glad to see you, and I'm glad to be invited for this occasion. So I want to give my thanks to President Clara Stamps for the invitation. I express appreciation to Tanya Carr and Sonia Sanders for their assistance and hospitality. I want to give honor to the administration of this institution, my beloved alma mater. And since my daily life of service is in the realm of student engagement and community life, I got to give a shout out to the student engagement and community life counterparts here, especially Dr. Pernella Deems for her support and for her collegiality. And let me further give a shout out to all those who are present and who may be watching, who are part of these institutions and these groups, those who are students and alums of the baddest band in the land, the Marching Thoroughbreds, those that are part of K-State's gospel ensemble, K-State's jazz band, student government representatives, and the brothers of the most noble clan, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, Alpha Upsilon Chapter till the day I die.
All right now.
I mention these groups because it was through these groups that my life began to take shape as a student here on the Hill between the years of 1980 and 1986. And while I run the risk of spending a lot of time on acknowledgments, I need to acknowledge this prevailing reality. If it wasn't for Kentucky State University, I sincerely believe that I would not be here today. More emphatically, I literally cannot conceive what my life would be like. For you see, the trajectory of my life and everything that you have just heard that I accomplished started on the steps of Kentucky Hall. On the steps of Kentucky Hall is where I met my college sweetheart, Cassandra Denise Harris. And everything that we have done from that one meeting in 41 years, 38 years of marriage, 41 years of chasing one another, we have exhibited a lot of work and have accomplished a lot of things from career success, business success, civic leadership, nonprofit development, community organizing, congregational leadership, family development, and developing one of two Black-owned behavioral health corporations in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. All of that stuff started at the steps of Kentucky Hall. Nothing that we have accomplished together was foremost in our minds at the time. We just fell fast for each other, and nothing else mattered. But while we had not any idea in our minds how our lives would change in that moment, God knew what God had in mind. Now, I don't have to tell you that that was a chance meeting because we were not supposed to be at K-State. She was trying to go somewhere else. I was trying to go to Berklee College of Music. But God had other plans. And everything that God has done in our life started there. And we met administrators, faculty members, students from across the country, yes, and around the world. And all of those spirits converged to bring about what we believe to be God's design for our lives. But our story is not unique. Kentucky State University has been writing life stories of this sort for countless people since its founding in 1886. What should never be forgotten or ignored is that Kentucky State University's persistent life-giving culture has perennially been implemented within the constant larger context of threat, opposition, hatred, indifference, and animus. There has not been one moment in K-State's history where this institution has not had to fight for respect and equity among other institutions of higher education. Such is the case for anything Black in this country. Every chapter of progress within our racial social order has not been made without a fight. Our very survival since our progenitors' feet hit the shores of this land in 1619 has been a fight. Miss Sophia in Alice Walker's The Color Purple voiced the sentiment of Black struggle in America. All our lives we had to fight. I can witness to the fact that Kentucky State University was the community for Cassandra and me that put the fight in us This community not only shook us into the reality of the fight, but then taught us how to fight. What Kentucky State University and what the community here taught us, modeled for us, and provided opportunities for us is the main thrust of my presentation to you today. What K-State provides for us, consonant with all HBCUs in our nation, is a sacred space of welcome, affirmation, encouragement, love, inspiration, grace, and acceptance, needed to resist the mental, emotional, and spiritual vestiges of oppression and black hatred that debilitate the hopes and dreams of countless individuals who live outside the blessing of this privilege. The narrative of Kentucky State University writes upon the hearts and minds of its students that which mitigates against forces that attack their self-worth and their self-identity. And I share with you the reflections centered around one of those recurring words that I continue to hear on this hill, in these halls, while I was a student. I heard it all the time from faculty members, from administrators, from staff persons, from the custodians, from everybody that embraced us that was here. It's in you.
All right now.
You can do it. You got what it takes to succeed. Don't think that you can't. God put it in you already. We need you to shine it right while you're here on this campus. And it didn't matter the assignment or the task or the challenge or the problem. Various persons on this hill, in some form or fashion, expressed to us the conviction that all we needed for accomplishment, success, justice, freedom, equity, fairness, peace, love, unity within the human family, all that we need is already on the inside of us. And it has been placed within us by the God who created it. Philosophers have touted this as a spark of the divine within us. This belief is grounded in a virtue that is within the Judeo-Christian religious tradition. Theologians calls it the Imago Dei. It's captured in Genesis 1:27 through 28. So God created humankind in his image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female. He created them. And God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over every living, creeping thing on the earth. My faith tradition teaches me that we have been made in the image of God. Humankind is to be a reflection of God in all of our human relating. The Genesis corpus introduces to us three prevailing aspects of the nature of God. God is the God who creates, God is the one who is relational, and God is the one who consecrates. God as creator creates nature and humankind. The God of relationality is expressed in the Genesis statements, let us make. And the God of consecration is exhibited on the seventh day of Sabbath rest. These aspects of the nature of God is inherent within the Imago Dei. In other words, within the image of God are the same divine virtues that's in every one of you. Creativity, cooperation, and consecration. Make no mistake about it. Every proverbial Garden of Eden in our lives can be cultivated, managed, and sustained when we utilize these sacred virtues. There has not been one battle for justice, human rights, or equality that has not utilized these virtues. Now I'm going to spend the remainder of my time briefly explicating these three virtues for us. Robert Franklin, in his book Human Motivation, defines creativity as the tendency to generate or recognize ideas, alternatives, or possibilities that may be useful in solving problems, communicating with others, and entertaining ourselves or others. The ability to generate ideas, new thoughts, new ways, new perspectives is what creativity is all about, and you have it in droves. God gave you loads of creativity. For many of us, it's easier to conceptualize creativity with the fruits from the visual and performing arts. Yet creativity is possible in every arena of life, especially within the realm of human relations. Our God-given ability to be creative is activated when a demand is placed upon it. Plato puts it this way: our need will be the real creator. We recognize this sentiment in this adage: necessity is the mother of invention. Need is the antecedent to creativity. Where there is no lack, where there is no problem, where there is no challenge, there is no need for creativity. God, who created us, who knows the full fallible thrust of the human condition, provided an inherent tool within us to meet those occurrences head on. Yet so many choose to let go of their hope for a better tomorrow by allowing the problem to define their potential outcome. They allow their circumstance, their trauma, their past, their failures, the hatred of others, abusive relationships, oppressive systems, and unjust laws, and racist supervisors or indifferent legislators to suggest that they have no choice but to live within the tenets of the status quo. Kentucky State University has always been, and got to keep on being, one of God's countervailing forces against this insanity of oppression. Every segment of this learning community must be committed with indefatigable passion to ensure that every student and employee has room to engage their God-given creativity. Now, creativity is not a stranger for African American families. We celebrate this with this way of making do. Y'all know about that? We know how to make do. While poverty, the fruit of generations of economic and social racial discrimination, has the lot of our families, many families refuse to allow poverty to define them or limit them. We simply learned how to make do with what we call creative Afro-engineering. This was most noted within most of our families in the kitchen. Big Mama, Mama, Madia, or whoever was the chief in the kitchen would have scrapes of food in the cupboard. And with the determination that the family had to eat, they would put a little bit of this with a little bit of that, with a piece of the other, and throw some water and oil, get a cast iron skillet, and make something out of nothing. That has been the African American narrative of survival through our sojourn in this country, from blues to jazz to the invisible institution which culminated in the existence of the black church, to banks, credit unions, insurance companies, schools, colleges, Kentucky State University. Our progenitors used their creative genius to develop institutions and practices that defied the hate-filled gaze of the American majority. We all are eternally indebted to their tenacious determination. That tenacity lives in each and every one of you. You have flowing in your DNA generations who pass on to you solutions, answers, responses to the oppressions of your day. The way gets hard, the nights are long, and many lives will be lost along the way, but we would not be here today had it not been for our progenitors' commitment. And let me tell you one more time, the same impassionate creativity that they had flows in your genes. Our creativity is needed today to make the world better, yet creativity expressed alone proves to be futile at best. I know you're bad all by yourself, but you are awesome when you combine your creativity with the creativity of others. Think about it theologically and biblically like this: there would not be an us without an us. The narrative of Genesis is that God said, let us make humankind. So there would not be an us if it wasn't for an us. It signals for us that the human creative process is best experienced and we can accomplish so much more when we do it together. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. believed this intensely. He quoted often from the famous poem of John Donne, "No man is an island, entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main." The adage is also true that there is power in numbers. The Bible has a verse that put it this way: one can chase 1,000, two can chase 10,000. While there is something to be said about the power of one, so much more can be done if we bring our creative power and in loving collaboration. And history is replete with examples of how the forces of evil can be conquered by the sole force of a creative collaboration. The quintessential example of this is the civil rights struggle of the late 50s and 60s. This creative collaboration ultimately brought Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to Frankfurt, right to this campus in 1957, but to Frankfurt in 1964 to engage his creative genius in the fight against discrimination in public accommodations. It will take a similar creative collaboration to remind our state legislature that while they work to place Kentucky State University under the watchful eye of the Council on Higher Education to ensure fiscal accountability, that they place the same intense commitment to hold themselves accountable for the millions of dollars owed Kentucky State University for underfunding this land grant institution. It will take a creative collaboration to speak a collective voice against the unfair treatment KSU has received historically by the Kentucky State Legislature. It will take a creative collaboration of holy boldness to call out the over-the-top favor legislators give to the other land grant institution of higher education, Big Blue, never questioning the fiscal reality there, never calling into account the fiscal practices over there in that place, yet continue to treat KSU as a nuisance to be tolerated. I said it, I'm here to represent it. This and other challenges of its kind will take more than a creative initiative of an individual. It requires the collective creativity of a community of people to make a lasting change. Finally, the fire that makes creativity and cooperation of human actions of justice is when those actions emanate from a sacred consecration. The Sabbath rest of Genesis reminds us that the power we have to change for the better is rooted in a power greater than all of us. The way does get hard. The nights do get long. The attack that comes with every creative cooperation of justice can be very vicious. The losses can be overwhelming. But my friends, what keeps us from giving up hope is the discipline to take our burdens to the Lord and leave them there. What keeps our heads bloody but unbowed is when we can take time to bow our head and knees before the one who placed the gift of creativity and cooperation within us in the first place. We receive power to stand in the face of evil when we acknowledge where our help really comes from. Kentucky State University must never stop being the place for the development of spiritual life. While we continue to receive encouragement from various members of this community of what was in us, we would take that encouragement and mix it up when I was here with a spiritual practice called gospel ensemble. I know every generation of gospel ensemble members has its own story of how it was a blessing for them, but I can speak for the 80s. Gospel ensemble was everything for us. And for those of us who participated, we would sometimes have a hard time learning songs because we would get lost in what we call today praise breaks. Those of us who shared in that space of consecration continue to talk about how meaningful and how that time helped us to survive. And all I'm trying to say to you, you might not be a person that sings, you may not be able to play a piano, but you have a spiritual place and you have a passion within you But I can assure you that if you will not survive the fight against injustice that you must engage in if you don't have some form of creative, cooperative consecration of Sabbath rest. The journey will be long and hard. But if you can get to the altar, the prayer room, the worship space, the friends gathering, the music hall, the practice room, the meditation mat, the mindfulness space, the dance hall, the art room, the library, the reading room, the yoga space, or just the room of silence, get there as often as you can, and you'll receive the strength you need to fight the good fight of faith. God has given to us 3 virtues just like him: creativity, cooperation, consecration. That's what it takes to make a difference in the context we're living in today. It's in you. You don't have to learn it. You don't have to go to a class to develop it. Just receive what has already been given to you by the God who made you in his image. Much love, K-State, all power to K-State University. God bless you.
Dr. Gray, if you'll join me back at the podium, please. On behalf of the Kentucky State University family, we would like to present this small token of appreciation to you. And I want to say to the other Dr. Gray, we thank you for loaning him to us today to remind us that we have within us what it takes to survive, that it was given to us by our God, and we stand on the shoulders of greatness. And so we present this to you on behalf of the Kentucky State University family. Thank you, Dr. Gray. Stand over here, take a picture.
Honoring the presence of Dr. and Big Brother Kelan K Gray by acknowledging his lifelong efforts in keeping with the fundamental purpose of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, which is achievement in every field of human endeavor. Whereas Brother Kelan Gray originally hailed from Memphis, Tennessee, and graduated from Carver High School, later moving to Kentucky and was active in a multitude of student organizations at Kentucky State University, while pursuing a Bachelor's of Science in Computer Science. And whereas Big Brother Gray was initiated into the grand bond of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated in the fall of 1982 on the Crimson Renaissance line at the Alpha Upsilon chapter. And whereas upon graduation in 1986, Brother Gray embarked upon lucrative jobs in the private sector for several years before devoting his full energy and will toward the ministry, earning a master's and doctor of divinity degrees from the Louisville Presbyterian Theological Seminary. And whereas Brother Gray has ministered to the world in a multitude of capacities, such as senior pastor of Mount Zion Baptist Church, founder and director of Batterer Intervention Program, dean of student engagement and dean of students, and dean of community life, all at the Louisville Presbyterian Theological Seminary. And whereas our dear brother has exemplified the Christian words he speaks through his partnership in co-founding not only a successful ministry, but also a 39-year marriage of his loving wife and Reverend Cassandra, with whom he raised 2 beautiful daughters. And now, therefore, be it resolved, the Alpha Upsilon chapter declares that today, February 24th, 2022, shall be known as Kelan Gray Ministry Day, in appreciation for his time and effort to reach back and minister to his roots at Kentucky State University. So we present this for
At this time, we'll welcome to the podium Dr. Stacia Emanuel, the Executive Director of Strategic Initiatives for our 2022 Heritage Awards. Following the ceremony, there will be a luncheon in the President's Dining Room. You're all welcome to join us. After Dr. Emanuel, we'll have our alma mater by Pastor Radford.
Good morning. On today, we would like to honor some trailblazers that have walked through not only Kentucky State University, but the community as well as worldwide. Our first Heritage Award goes to Miss Mary Fields, who will be receiving the Academic Heritage Award. Miss Mary T. Fields is a native of Danville, Kentucky. Upon graduation from Danville High School in 1968, she was accepted to Kentucky State College then, where she graduated with an associate's degree in nursing. Fields was part of the second graduating class in nursing. She later graduated from the University of Kentucky with a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing and a Master's in Public Administration from Kentucky State University. Fields retired after 40 years of uninterrupted service at the Betty White Health Center as the Director of Student Health and University Nurse. Fields implemented a free women's health clinic for students that was coordinated with the Franklin County Health Department. Fields also implemented a student health insurance and immunization policy for students and supervised the university's free student dental clinic. Fields was invited to be initiated in Alpha Pi chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and has celebrated 50 years of service in 2019. She has served as a member of several local public organizations and continues to work with the health industry as well as in Frankfurt, abroad, and worldwide. Let us congratulate Ms. Mary T. Fields. Our next Heritage Award is the Access Heritage Award, which will be given to Thornhill Education Center in Frankfort, Kentucky. The history of Thornhill Learning Center reflects one community's response to the undereducation of a segment of its citizens. Miracles have happened and continue to happen at 700 Leslie Avenue. Some of those left behind in the modern technological revolution are finding hope through customized adult education. The Thornhill story is about a few individuals and community institutions who dared to believe something could be done to help the undereducated become more productive workers in society. Our Access Heritage Award goes to Thornhill Education Center of Frankfort, Kentucky. Thank you, ladies. The Agriculture Heritage Award. This year recipient, Dr. Marion E. Simon. Raised on a small tenant farm in Scott County, Kentucky, Dr. Simon received a Bachelor of Science in Animal Science and a Master's of Science in Agricultural Economics from the University of Kentucky. Simon followed these degrees with a PhD in Agricultural Economics in the areas of farm management, marketing, and systems analyst. Simon has served as the state specialist for small farms and part-time farmers at Kentucky State University since 1984, which is 38 years. She also is the coordinator for the 1890 SARE committee from 97 to present and was promoted to extension professor in 2013. Simon has served on numerous USDA grant panels, regional and national committees. An avid horseman, in her spare time, Simon owns and operates her small farm, MS Quarter Horse, where she raises and shows quarter horses at the regional and national level. Dr. Marion E. Simon. Thank you. Our last Heritage Award goes to Mr. Leon D. Slater, which will be the Athletic Heritage Award. Leon D. Slater is a native of Tifton, Georgia. Upon graduation from Wilson High School in Tifton, Mr. Slater earned a Bachelor of Science in Health and Physical Education from Kentucky State University and a Bachelor of Theology from Simmons Bible College. Slater served 30 years as a county extension agent for 4-H and youth development. Since 1986, Slater has served as the pastor of Cadentown Missionary Baptist Church. Slater was married for 37 years to the late Barbara J. Griffin Slater and is the father to Marcus Slater and Dr. Miriam Hall. Mr. Leon D. Slater, the Athletic Heritage Award. Can we give a round of applause to all of our recipients for 2022? Thank you.
Will you please stand for the singing of the Alma Mater? All right, I have some students that are going to help me sing today. You know, the Alma Mater is not a solo. It is all of us come together. It's our congregational selection. Yeah, you can stay right here. Have a great day.